He'll join.
Sure. That's absolutely fine. How old is your daughter?
She's 13 now.
Mm-hmm.
We have been to Arohi campus
Right.
2019 actually for the summer camp. We've been
Yeah.
there a week. So since then she's like the open schooling, specifically Arohi campus.
Sure.
So I think she withheld conventional schooling so far, and she can't take it anymore. I think it's
Sure.
it's confirmed. So we wanted to just like clarify our concerns and move ahead further.
Sure. Yeah, this is exactly the place where we share our concerns and whatever doubts we have. So that's perfect. I think Meghansh, yeah, which is asking Nitya if you can introduce yourself, and as and when Arvind comes and Uday and Arvind comes. Okay, Arvind comes. He can introduce himself.
Meghansh, I don't know if you can hear us, but your audio is not connected.
Sorry, it was on mute. I've unmuted myself.
Okay.
So we have a daughter who is 50, just turned 15, who has been homeschooling since 1 year.
Okay.
It coincided with COVID. We chose homeschooling for her because she wanted to focus on doing some cricket. So to support that, we started getting her to enroll as a private candidate for IGCSE, and she's been fairly independent learner. She's been studying on her own. And this year, because the boys were in a Montessori school, and because they've been doing online, and online really doesn't have anything to do with the Montessori system, we pulled them out and we decided to just school them at home for at least 1 year until schools reopen. And it's also been possible because my husband's been a teacher till last year himself in a school. So he had switched careers. So then he said, well, I might as well teach my own kids. So he's doing the academic part. But I've always felt that they needed a more sort of holistic or a wholesome experience to living and learning that's, outside the books. So, and we found out about Arohi and we wanted to explore what it is that it can add to their lives as we imagine it to be over the next 1 year, at least.
Sure.
We're testing the waters, really. I mean, it's different for our daughter because her focus is on cricket. So the learning happens independently and everything is scheduled around her cricket. The boys, we would like them to have a little more open structure and more hands-on kind of learning. That's what we're looking at.
Cool. Okay. Thank you. Meghansh, would you also like to share?
Hello.
Yeah.
I just joined to understand what exactly we are discussing today. I have been to many series. Actually, though I have attended so many sessions, still I have some where in my mind there is a doubt whether this open learning is for my child or not. So
Sure.
I keep questioning myself how it would help him, whether really it will help him or not. So I'm still learning from you all, actually.
Okay. Sure. How old is your child?
He is 8 years old.
8 years old. Okay, cool. Right. Okay.
To tell more about my kid, he actually never listens to us. He always have something in his mind, and he is very clear about it. So he wants to do whatever he wants. But my husband always says, being a child, he has to listen to you. He has to listen to us. He has to respect the elders. So there's always a conflict in the family. So I was thinking how to bridge the gap of this kind of things.
Okay. Interesting.
He's very independent. He's very
Sure,
independent.
sure.
He never be dependent on our suggestions. So he knows what he's doing. He's very clear about it. So it's very tough to convince him so that he will listen to us.
Yeah. Interesting, very interesting. Okay. Okay, I think that's a very interesting start today with all the different parents sharing. Preeti, you want to say hi to the group?
Hi, everybody. Sorry, I joined a little late, but it was very interesting listening to Nitya, Meghansh, everybody. So, yeah. So I am also an open learner with with our daughter. She is 8.5 years old, and yeah, this is Mishti, our daughter, and yeah, we are enjoying this journey of open learning since more than a year now.
Awesome. Definitely
She's saying it's awesome. Definitely, it's.
Yeah, thank you, Preeti. Okay, and I'm Ratnesh. I have two children, though they're a little older. Now my daughter is 22 and she has not been to any 10, 12 college, nothing like that. She's been an open learner all throughout. And she is, all I can say in one line, enjoying and exploring her life. She does many, many things and she continues to do many things. Yeah, and my son is 16. He's just the opposite of my daughter. He's totally into one thing, which is football. He doesn't do anything other than football 7 days a week, right? Nothing else, absolutely nothing else other than football, right? So that's my two children, and obviously I've had the privilege to have interacted with many children over the last 20 years, many children, many parents who have been part of this journey of learning. Right. So I want to give a quick I want to share a quick little thought, few slides, and then we can jump into all the doubts and questions that you have. And in some ways, my first slide, what's gone wrong with my first slide? My first slide is actually talking about, when you say that, the child, is this for my child? Is open learning for my child? That's a statement that I heard a little while back. And I want you to take a step back from that statement and let's think of it this way. For example, we don't say is living for my child, right? We don't say that. That will sound funny, right? That will sound very, very strange. Why are we saying that is living for my child? So open learning in a way is nothing different from living. Open learning includes, in a funny way, going to a class and attending let's say a workshop or a course, or maybe even a school or a college. Open learning itself does not. What does open learning mean? Is that everything is open, that I have many options. Perhaps the biggest problem with the current situation is that most people think that there is only one thing for a child to do, which is to go to a school or a college. Now, that's not openness. That's in fact mononess or whatever, one option. What we are saying is, hey, life is full of options, and the child can at any time, and when I say child, I obviously mean parents included, the family can at any time decide how they want to go about. So a child may, for example, if your child is into cricket, I'm sure she's going into coaching. And if she's going into coaching, that's not open learning, that's structured learning, isn't it? The coaches have a certain setup, certain drills, certain things to follow, certain exercises to do, etc., etc. So in that sense, it is not like she can't just go onto the pitch and do whatever she feels like doing bhangra on the pitch, right? So what I mean to say is that it's not about whether how much of structure, how much of unstructure is there. It's more about what is it that the child wants and the family wants at a particular time. And that is what is open learning. So to say open learning is for my child or not is in some ways, I don't know how to put that forward. It to me doesn't, that's not the way it is to be put. It is to be put that when I'm open learning, I have loads and loads and loads of options. And now let me see which option fits in with my scheme of things, with my desires, my interests, my passions, my whatever, long-term, short-term goals, etc., etc. And when I say my, it includes the whole family. Yeah, so I want you to think of life or education in that sense as a continuum, not as one thing or the other. It's not either or. Either I go to this or I go to that. It's not about where the child goes to, but it's more about what do we want for the child and what the child wants for himself and herself. So sorry, we started off with a whatever, almost like a lecture. But I thought I somehow that statement was ringing in my mind, and I wanted to share this perspective at the beginning. And which means, yeah, so what we are saying is, hey, too long, the education has put importance on, what job, what career, what to earn, what to learn. Can we not shift it to just living? And what that means is that the child will then decide what I want to do in my life. And isn't that cool? I mean, isn't that all of us want? We want to decide what I want to do. Don't we all as adults want to decide what we want to do with our life? Then why should we not give that privilege, if at all that's a privilege? It should not be, it should be his right or her right to do what they want to do, to learn what they want to learn. Yeah. Which means that it's not necessary, it's not compulsory to bind a child to a curriculum. If the child says, bind me in a curriculum, like the cricket child may say, bind me in the cricket curriculum, fair enough. You want to be there. You want to be with the rules of the cricket. So that's absolutely fine. Neither do we need to bind the child with a particular way of learning. The child can explore many different ways of learning, whichever way the child wants, including being taught. We need not assess the child. The child can develop the very sense of self-assessment and self-reflection, which I guess is what we will do whole of our life. And finally, yeah, college schools are fine. They're awesome. They are amazing, but they're only one option. There are many, many, many more options to discover what one wants to do at a particular time. It need not be even the same. It can even keep changing. I know a lot of people who have in their life done so many different things. It's so amazing to hear their stories, right? So that's what, in some ways, what open learning is all about. And ROE is all about taking that open learning into a context of a community, because when we get together as families, imagine 10, 20, 30, whatever number of families together, children, adults, all understanding each other, working with each other, connecting with each other based on individual interest, collaborating with each other, working, no lines of who is adult, who is child, but actually supporting, guiding each other. Child could be teaching or guiding an adult and vice versa. So we end up with an ecosystem where the whole idea is to learn together, to support each other, and most importantly, to co-create our own education. And that could include things like, as I said, going to school, going to college, doing an online course, doing a workshop, anything. It could mean anything, actually. It doesn't need to mean only one thing. Otherwise, when we think of education, comes to my mind school, college, exams, job. That's education for you. All right. But we are saying, no. Let's not call it education. Let's possibly call it life. And when I think of life, I want to live my life the way I think, which I think is what, Dwiji, the word independence means. So I want to pass the baton to you to share your thought, and then we can start the discussion.
I'm guessing you are referring to me.
Yes,
Yeah,
you are
okay.
Dwiji, and you are talking about independence.
Hey, come on. Okay, so as you folks, as you probably figured out why we chose the topic of independence, it's August, and naturally in India here we will be thinking of independence in August, if not at other times. But when it comes to open learning, we are pretty much talking about that exercising that independence at every step of our journey. I'm sorry, I'm in my kitchen, so I'll probably turn off my video. It doesn't help to have my video on. Yeah.
Oh, it was helping. Dwiji, don't turn it off. We can see your face
You
very
can?
well.
Oh, okay. Good. I don't know what angle it is at,
No,
but
not
fine.
now. Earlier we were able to see before you
Earlier,
turned it off.
okay, you want me to set it up like that. Okay.
Yes, awesome.
Chalo.
Right, we can see all your utensils also. Don't worry.
Yeah. Bindi cutting. So the idea of open learning is an exercise of this notion of independence, because like Ratnesh said, the aspects of open learning with regard to deciding what you want to do is the critical part. And what is independence other than the freedom to decide for yourself? And that is why we feel that independence in living and learning go hand in hand. We cannot talk of independence of learning but then say that, oh, when it comes to living you have to listen to others, or vice versa, that you are independent to live however you want, but then your learning will have to be structured and it has to fall into certain categories, certain pathways only. So that's why we feel that independence and learning go very well. And open learning is essentially it's not really schooling. So if you feel that open learning is schooling, let's be very clear, it is not schooling, it's learning. And the most primary way, the first things that child does is to learn how to walk, talk, communicate. Everything that they learn out of their own motivation. Now, after a certain point, why do we want to make it structured? Is the whole idea behind open learning, the way we practice it in Arohi. And the second part is that when we are talking of independence, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have the freedom to do anything. You also take on the responsibility of whatever you're doing, because what is freedom but the other side of the coin of responsibility. So and that's the other thing that we ask of all of our children, that they become responsible adults. One of the things that I think Sandhya was sharing, that her family expects that their children will respect adults, right? The core of, at the core of that is that they are responsible, that they are responsive and responsible to those around them. And it's so beautiful when you look at how a small child will actually just take on the the ways in which we interact and mimic our behaviors. So in the same way, can we have open learning where we ourselves are conscious? And Preeti mentioned this in the introduction, that as part of the Arohi community, we are not just, it's not just that our children are part of the learning process, but we as a family are part of the process. So our idea of open learning in the Arohi community is to exercise that independence, not just for the child, but also for us adults in the family. So I just realized that the green light blinking is actually from my notification. I don't know how I can get that out. Yeah.
Don't worry.
Okay, so I'm done with my spiel. And if I really look forward to questions and comments and concerns that you have to share. And hopefully we will not answer too many of them, and also seed more questions in your mind, which you will come back with answers and comments in the next session. Over to all of you.
Sure. Thanks. So yeah, as Dwiji is saying, enough of us talking. So over to you all. You have to throw in questions, experiences, thoughts, whatever concerns, doubts, whatever you have. and we can at best share our views on it. Yeah. So anybody can start. Yeah, nice.
This is my daughter, Lakshita, and she wants to join the RO campus for open schooling. I know a little bit about open schooling since I've experienced 1 week there, like what now goes there, how to explore what they're interested in on their own free will. But while she's at present doing 8th grade, and probably next year she wanted to shift to open schooling. So, like, if she wants to continue that, say that we have that open national sort of open schooling, that goal is there. Like, in case if she wants to attend the 10th level, that exam, like she'll be doing it from the campus itself. How will it take place? Like I wanted to know whether is it possible to skip the 10th that level and directly do the 12th in case he wants to join some bachelor courses in the future, or she has to do both the 10th and the 11th, 12th level.
Okay. So since you've asked a very specific question, yes, in our country, if you want to give 12th, you will have to give 10th. So, but if you don't want to give 12th, then there is no need to give 10th. 10th and 12th are actually quite useless if you don't want to go to college. There is no need to give 10th. Well, my daughter hasn't given any 10th, any 12th, any college for that matter, and she's perfectly fine. And in our country, legally, you are not required to give 10th and 12th for any of the legal documents or any of the legal requirements, right? So you are a free bird at any point. When you ask me, can she prepare for her 10th? Well, my answer is, why only ask about 10th? Why didn't you ask, can she do embroidery? Can she prepare for being a mountaineer? Can she prepare to be a whatever? Let's say,
Scuba diver.
a chef.
Scuba diver.
Yeah, scuba diver, anything. Absolutely, she can prepare for anything as much as you can prepare for anything at this age, and I can prepare to become anything or do anything at my age. It just doesn't matter. Let's stop thinking of children as children and adult as adult and just say everybody is learning what they want to learn. Everybody is doing what they want to do in their life. And then within that, they can figure out how to earn also. I think earning is given too much importance. The moment we give more importance to what we really yearn for, the earn and all that comes, learn, earn, all that comes fairly automatically. So if she really wants to give 10th through NIOS, yes, she can very well prepare here. But I also want to give you a warning. A lot of children, when they start doing open learning, they start questioning even why give 10th and 12th, and they don't end up giving 10th and 12th. So don't be surprised if after a couple of years, she will ask you, why do you want me to give 10th? And it's a difficult question to answer, really. If any child really turns back and asks their parent, why should I give 10th? We really don't have an answer. Right? Because all our answers are based on some conjectures that this will get you what job, or this will get you something which we don't even know whether you will get it or not. So that's the funny part. But I'm not getting into that discussion unless somebody wants to get into that discussion.
Like I just wanted to clarify on this because right now, at present, she doesn't want the conventional schooling. I'm not sure whether she understands fully about what will happen in the future. Neither of us know what will happen in the future. Just I just wanted to have an idea that later on, if she decides on giving up 10th and 12th, that's it's her choice. Like if she's capable of doing everything on her own and she's capable of being independent and standing on her own feet, no problem. Then it's her choice and she won't regret it. We wanted to clarify.
I just want to underline, I'm just jumping on opportunities today, is that when you say we don't know what will happen in the future, and I would like to say, isn't that amazing news? Isn't that amazing that we don't know what will happen in future, so that we can live this life called adventure, we can explore, we can do different things, and we can just face things as they come up. Who knew COVID will come up? And then we all are now facing it, figuring out our ways of dealing with it. And I think that's the spice of life, according to me. That's the real life. If everything is predictable, who wants to do that? Right? Dwiji also wants to share something. Yes, Dwiji. Dwiji is raising hand. Dwiji, just raise your voice.
Yeah.
Like a bacha
So-
is raising his hand.
Yeah. Acha bacha.
Acha
So,
bacha. Okay, give it.
First thing is that Sandhya, it was lovely to hear you say it's it's her responsibility, because that's the important thing when we talk about open learning, that the child takes the responsibility, right? And that the parent gives that space for the child to explore and make the decisions, and stands by and assists and mentors and all those things, but let the child decide. So that's the great thing about I was very happy to hear you share that idea or that instinct, that feeling that it's the child's responsibility. So that's great. Other thing that I would like to comment on is that what the child does on campus is not decided by others on campus. Let's be very clear about that. The child decides what they want, what each of them wants to do. The children decide, and so do the adults. So, so just to give you an idea that if she can do something, so typically in a day on campus, there are certain hours in which we all share, responsibilities of keeping up the campus, coordinating with each other, knowing what the other person is doing, getting to know each other and stuff like that. But a good chunk of the day we spend on our own pursuits. So some of us might be doing something on the computer, some of us might be reading a book, some of us might be out playing a game. It all depends on what the individual's objectives are for that day, for that week, for that month, or whatever period of time that they are looking to plan for. So yes, so just to add a very philosophical part, and also another to bring down the logistical aspect of how things work on campus.
Sure.
Okay, thanks.
And in any case, Sandhya and her daughter have been to campus for a week, a couple of years back. Yeah. So they've experienced that.
Yeah, that's true. Sorry, I missed that part. Oh, yeah.
Sure. Okay, yeah, Arvind, hi. We'll like to hear from you also.
Hi, sorry, I was a little late.
No issues.
Got back. So it's quite lovely listening to your introduction. Though I caught the tail end of it, but still, I think when we came across your website, it was quite wonderful to see that there is a space like this that's available for children and adults to come and to learn from. And so we were really drawn, I think, to also the flexibility that you seem to offer from your end, which is that of children coming for maybe a week or maybe some months or maybe even staying on for the entire year, perhaps. And that's what I read on the website. And so for us, I think we're looking to see whether we can, we like to see Aarohi as one of the experiences that they would have in life at this point in time. And that we could come and spend a little time there, maybe is what we are thinking. We've been tracking your website for the last few months through COVID, seeing if it's possible when it opens. And last week, by chance, we noticed that you said it's open now soon. So 9th August or something like that, I remember. So we were thinking it would be nice to come and see and spend some time. And I think the idea of having the children spend a week and us. And I think I really like the fact that you're saying that, the decisions that of this movement of is not simply that which impacts the children, but impacts the entire family. It's really the whole family that changes its way of living and learning. In a sense.
Absolutely.
So that really makes a lot of sense to me. And I think in some sense, we have made changes in our own lives to enable this for ourselves. And I think so it sort of comes together in that sense. And so it's really to ask, what do we do in terms of coming and experiencing Rohi in the near future?
Oh, that part is very simple. Simply just go to the website. There is a registration form for visiting whichever week you want to come, and that's it. That's after that there will be small meeting, and then you can come and stay here and experience the open learning. I think that's what is really important.
Okay. Did you want to ask anything?
No, I'm just listening.
Yeah, sure. So we'll do that then. I think we'll do that through the website. I think just the live contact, I think, would say a lot.
Sure.
Of the experience itself.
Right. So, Nitya and Arvind, while we can obviously, you can come to Arohi, experience open learning. What we can spend this time more, little go deeper into the open learning aspect. Forget Arohi for some time. This meetup is not about Arohi. It's more about understanding open learning, where the child is exploring, doing what is immaterial. Whether the child is in Arohi or the child is any part of the world, how does that matter? What is really important is if the family or the child can or wants to understand, explore open learning and see how do we take that forward, and what options and opportunities and possibilities opens up when we actually open ourselves up to the world of learning and living rather than a system of education. So we can explore that together today. We can talk, share, ask questions, share concerns. Yeah, that's my thought right now. And when you come to campus, yes, we can carry that forward, sure. Yeah, so more thoughts, more questions.
Rashmi, like as of now, kids will have so many ideas, pursuits, and interests and all. Kids will have various things. Like yes, my daughter has so many interests. She likes philosophy, she likes some music, she likes to read books, and sometimes she say she likes animations, like voice acting, everything. When we go into open learning, like we'll have opportunities to have access to all these things. I don't know how will they follow a single path or maybe 2-3 paths, whatever it is. Like how will they? I can't imagine how decipher how will they come to some direction, not specifically one, or maybe from say 10-15 pursuits or two or three interests like that. How will they do it? I'm not able to wrap around it.
Yeah. But I think this answer lies inside you. I'm sure you have many interests. You like different things at different point of times. And if you look back and say, how have those interests evolved? Is there a pattern to it, or is they've just evolved? Suddenly you started liking something at some age, started saying, I want to do this. Maybe I want to do art. Maybe I want to trade on stock market. Maybe I want to, do that. I don't know. We as human beings are very, let's call it unpredictable. And that's so beautiful, right? And we keep evolving, we keep changing. So will you, and so will your daughter, and so will I. And isn't that great? So what I'm trying to say is there's no answer to it. And thank God there is no answer to it. Good that I cannot answer to you, because that means the journey lies within each one of us. The journey lies within your daughter, and may she explore it. It may be a mystery to her and to all of us, and may she enroll and revel and enjoy the journey as it unfolds for her. Right? So we don't know what will become important to her. Maybe she will go deep in one field. Maybe she will flutter from one field to another all her life. Maybe a lot of combinations in between. Maybe people, places, events will shape her life in different ways. And may all that happen. I would say, let the life flow. And if I'm sounding very philosophical, then yeah, so it is, because I think this is what is life.
Yeah. Well, see, I have a slightly different take on this.
Thank you. Please go ahead.
Events and people shape everybody's life, whether you're going to a college or school or you are doing open learning. The idea of open learning is that what shapes you is something that you are choosing, or you have much more of a say in what influences that you are responding to. So it's not something that you're following a curriculum and other things, because I mean, there might be a maths teacher that would influence somebody. There might be a, you know, a beggar on the street who makes such a big impression.
Hey, Dwiji, you're gone mute, dear. No, we lost you. Both mute and video gone.
Oh,
You're
sorry,
back.
I just got a call. I'm back. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I'm just trying to say that what influences and what sets our paths is not in our hands, as much as where we draw information from, where we draw inspiration from. So if I say that, you know, I want to keep my child inside what do you call that, golden cage, right, and only expose them to certain influences, that's one kind of quote unquote living. But we look at the world and we say, you know, there are so many different things that we can learn from. There are so many different things that we can do. So what is it that we as an individuals, not we as a collective, but I as an individual would like to do next? So open learning is not necessarily about having a clear path, like Ratnesh said, but at the same time, it's not that other forms of learning or other forms of education have very clear paths or pathways. And yeah. So I'll stop there.
Can I say something?
Yeah, Nitya.
I think that from what I understand and what I've understood in my own journey as a parent and a student in my life, schooling and college is a clear-cut path to a career, basically. And I think maybe even 20 years ago, one had one career. You built it, and then you laid the foundation, and then you did it over many years. You became an expert. You got paid better and better. You know, it went in one direction. And rarely when people switched careers, it was a big thing to do.
Yeah.
And that defined you as a person, and it also defined your life, because you spent 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 hours doing it in a day, to the exclusion of all else. And I think now it's possible to be, I don't know if it's the right word, but a multi-faceted person who does many things. So I'm not defined by my one thing that I studied for and I practice in my life as my career, but I'm many things. And it's possible for me to be many things. I think we are slowly discovering that as adults in this world, in this context. And this is, if we can offer this to our children from the beginning, then they are not narrowed down in terms of their choices and having to choose so many things based on that, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Right.
This is how I understand it.
You've
in terms of
defined
the
it.
choices we made for the twins, I think.
Absolutely.
Right?
Nitya, you have completely defined it. Maybe I can use your recording somewhere. That's bang on. That's what open learning is all about. Yes.
In a sense, I mean, not to create another polarity, but essentially, I think there is a great room for generalists in the world now, rather than specialists. People who can have general skills of being able to apply whatever skills they have and to learn new skills as and when necessary, as life comes their way. And so, you know, this old saw about learning how to learn, right? I mean, though it's become a cliche, but really there's great truth in it, to be able to learn how to learn. And I think capacity for that stands you in long, you know, through your lifetime.
Yeah.
For me, what I understand is, it is again not too much about being a generalist or a specialist. It can be about anything, but mostly it is about your own liking, about your love for it, about your passion, about your understanding, and about how you want to live your life. That's it. That's the underlying benchmark. means just now Neeraj Chopra won gold medal in javelin throw in Olympics just now. Okay, so he must have done like really put in so much of effort in doing that one specific thing, only one, specialist in javelin throw, right? So but it was his passion, it is his hard work through it that he is doing that. But for me it is I'm neither into javelin throw nor into any specific only drawing or painting or cooking or nothing. I like everything and I learn everything, I try to be everywhere. So that is my passion, that is my love for things. So what I understand about open learning is about how much you like doing what. Sorry if I
Absolutely.
said too much.
You're bang on, and you've given me a great news. I didn't know that he has won gold. So thank you. This is amazing. Right. Yes. It's totally about the passions, and it need not be about being journalist or about one thing or another thing. Somebody can be like a bee and somebody can be like a butterfly. In fact, I think you mentioned that. Sorry, I'm forgetting who mentioned that your daughter is into cricket. Who mentioned that? Yeah. Okay. You only mentioned that. No, and you also mentioned that she's doing some IGCSE along with it. Right now, I'm sorry, I'm just curious, why is she doing that? I'm just curious. I'm trying to understand why is she doing two things when I am. Does she want to do two things, or is it that? Sorry, I want to understand that because I want to bring some thoughts there using that. If you're okay with that discussion.
Yeah, sure. I think we are multiple facets that we have to us as human beings, and I think at various stages we can learn many different things at the same time as well. It's not. I mean, the notion of passion is. I think I agree with it to an extent, and I think it can also be limiting in some sense, in the sense that there are people who live in this world without necessarily having a passion. They respond to they respond to their circumstances. I mean, passion can sometimes be a very privileged thing for people who can say, I have a passion which I can follow. People may not necessarily have that, and also sometimes it's linked to success. I mean, if the javelin throw, we might celebrate him because he's won a gold, but what if he didn't, right? I mean, would his passion still be worthwhile for not having won any recognition at all in his life? Would his journey have been valuable anyway for simply having followed it? So I think it is. I think it would have been valuable for himself if he can value it.
Absolutely.
But I'm saying that some of these things get linked in certain ways, that some things are celebrated because they are recognized, or in hindsight we say, wow, isn't it wonderful? But in the process of it, to sort of, anyway, I'm going off. In terms of Meenakshi's, I think the choices are partly driven by us at this point of time to say that, hey, would you also like to, you have a mind which has a capacity to also learn academic subjects. And she recognizes that for herself. And she says, okay, now why don't we also spend some time doing that? And the situation isn't such that she can just play cricket all day long as well. And I don't know if it's necessarily healthy to be doing that either. I think there are rhythms to the day, and there are different things that we can do. So part of it you use your mind, part of it you use your body, part of it you do something else. So it's really a mix of those things, and so we're trying to bring that in, I think, in the learning for all three children, that they do explore all aspects of their humanity. It doesn't become just this one thing. If it is one thing, then it's one thing, and it will move. We trust that it will move or not move, or it will be the one thing or whatever. But to also, not limit it by saying, this is your passion, don't do anything else.
No, I didn't mean it that way.
Meenakshi, she also
go ahead.
For me, but particularly for Meenakshi, she's got a good mind for academics, and she does well in that sense. I mean, she's a self-disciplined learner. She's self-correcting. She's capable of, largely doing self-study without much input. And there are a couple of subjects she's interested in. So, and the IGCSE gives her the flexibility to do only those. Unlike the other schooling boards, which you have to do a range of subjects to pass, you can choose 5 papers, which can be 2 of which can be maths and advanced maths.
Sure.
You don't have to do history, geography, I mean, everything else kind of. So she's chosen like some English +4 things, which are a combination that's suitable for her interests and her capacities.
Sure.
So like you don't have to do physics, chemistry, biology separately. You can do it as one paper called Combined Sciences with a very reduced syllabus. And then if she's only interested in physics, she said, I'll take it up in the next A level.
Okay.
So that flexibility seemed like a good option to get the 10th done, but at the same time, not have to do the entire gamut of subjects.
Okay. Sure.
So that's how we chose them.
Sure. Yeah. So I didn't imply that she should only do cricket all the time. No, I didn't imply that. If she can have as many, whatever, she may explore whatever she can explore. If she wants to explore academic subjects, so be it. Perhaps if she can also explore non-academic things which could interest her. So it's not, I'm sure you would have thought about it, but what I'm just trying, one, I was trying to understand, and two, I'm also trying to bring about this point that for some reason, perhaps because we all have gone through a system, so to say, it defaults back to the system. So, okay, you are doing this, you have 4 hours a day extra, chalo abhi thoda pad lete hain, academics kar lete hain. And that becomes the kind of default option. I'm not saying it is necessarily that in your case. I'm just making a generic observation that in so many cases that becomes the default. While I would also like to invite that the child can actually explore so many other things. Why not write? Why not fly? Why not paint? Why not dive? Why not whatever the child, maybe cook, whatever the child likes to do. Why does it has to default back to doing a certain so-called subject in certain examination? That's one choice. I'm not saying there's a wrong choice. I'm just saying it's only a choice. Sometimes I feel people are not ready to see that as a choice. That's like a given. Everything else has to be, like a secondary thing. So that was the point that I wanted to make, not necessarily in your child's context, but I'm just using that as an example to show how even when I have one passion, I'm still free to explore this whole beautiful world, not necessarily in a specific way, in a structured way. So yeah, that's just one thought. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think completely agree with what you have to say.
Sure. Okay, more questions, more thoughts.
It's nice to listen to you from Nitya and Ratnesh for the lovely inputs. I have a small question in my mind. See, the children has different capabilities, and not children, even the adults also. So is this open learning helps to improve their capability, or just they go with whatever capability they have?
Okay. So I'm not very sure what you mean by capability, because is it specific to a particular field? Is it to do with my, because capability isn't about one thing. It's like, do I have the capability to, let's say, sell something? That's a selling skills. Do I have the capability to counsel somebody? That's a counseling area. Do I have the capability to swim? Then that's a swimming area. So when you use the word capability, I'm not able to generalize it to saying that some have more capability or some have less capability. I would generalize it to say some have one kind of capability while other has different kind of capability. One is an artist and one is a doctor and one is a swimmer, and those are their capabilities, and one is a javelin thrower. So they all have different capabilities. So that is one thing. So we don't need to say less or more. The definition of less or more is now totally outdated. Maybe 50 years back or 70, 80 years back, we were ranked 1, 2, 3, 4 based on only certain subjects. It's totally outdated in today's world, isn't it? And the second point is the question of developing the capability. Well, that's really in the hands of the learner. How much and how the person wants to develop himself or herself in that field or in multiple fields, whatever the child's choices are. So I would say it's really up to the child. Parents can give feedback, the world can give feedback, but finally it's the child's choice. And I would also even go to the extent and say it isn't necessary for us, for everybody to develop the same amount of capability in any field. I can be, like I think Arvind was saying, I can be a gold medalist. So I've developed my capability to that level that in Olympics, I can win the gold medal. Or I can just enjoy throwing javelin all of my life. What's wrong with that? I don't have a great capability. It just goes some 30 feet away and goes into the ground. And I'm cool with it. If I like doing it for 30 years or 50 years of my life. I know of a person, his name is Richard, and he lives in Goa. And you know what he does? If you ask him what is his profession is that he climbs trees. Does that sound strange? Exactly. He just does that. Exactly. He just climbs trees. Now, you would, if you want to know how he earns out of it, you have to go and meet him. He's such an amazing character. But that's what he does. He climbs trees, and he don't require too many major capabilities to climb trees, right? So he isn't growing in Olympic levels into climbing trees, but he just climbs trees, and he encourages people to climb trees, children to climb trees, everybody to climb trees. And it's so beautiful when you climb trees with him because it's so much fun. Not that in any way it is so much fun. So what I'm trying to give that example is that everybody doesn't need to keep developing into some gold medalist kind of a thing. As Arvind mentioned, I can just be doing what I feel like doing and be happy in my life. And that itself is good enough. So I think this whole paradigm of, growth and progress is something that has been thrown onto us. I live in a village. If I see the villagers around me, the farmers, I mean to say, they don't get any promotion in their life. They don't progress in any sense. They have the same piece of land on which they keep growing different crops year after year, the whole of their life. Have they developed new capabilities? Maybe, maybe not. Have they enjoyed their lives? Well, that's a totally different story. So, so open learning also embraces that each one will have our own definition of what is success, what is ambition, how much I want to go, how much I want to develop. And even within children, even if I see a group of 10-year-olds, they will all have very different, let's say, aspirations, ambitions, the desire to develop the capability, even that would be very different. And if we were to say the ones who have less desire that you are lesser, then we are not fair to people. If we can see them all in the same light, I think that would be fair. And that's, sorry, I think I gave a very long answer to your very short question.
There are people who can excel in any field they're put into, but there are people, whatever field, they cannot succeed. Such kind of people, see, all our fingers are not same. There are different kind of people. There are different kinds of kids. There are different kinds of adults. So how do we go with the less potential kids or less potential adults? How this, is this open learning really helps them?
Well, it will at least help them realize that there is nothing like less potential or more potential. It will help them realize that we just all have we are just all different. We have different, not even different potentials, meaning we're just different. Meaning, so what if I don't want to learn 20 things, and so what if another person, let's say, learns so many more things than me? Is he smarter? No, I wouldn't say that. I would say, yeah, he is a 20 things learner. I am a 0 things learner. That's all. We're just different. Can we look at the world like that? I think then it will be an open view. I think Arvind is coming in to help me.
And we're different at different times of our lives. And it's not that, I'm one fixed thing for 60 years or 70 years. The same child who maybe doesn't express an interest in a particular area now doesn't mean that area is shut off for the child for the rest of their lives. In fact, there are stories of children who, with absolutely no interest in that particular area through school or something, turn out to, master it much later in life, simply because they got interested in it of their own. And that spark, once it's ignited, is very hard to keep away. I mean, it has its own momentum, and people can build on that. So teachers can sometimes say, "Wow, okay, are you, is it the same you that I saw in school, who's become like this now?" And it's wonderful because they're not doing it out of somebody else's pressure. They're doing it out of their own motivation and a motivation.
I also say that there are some people in this world who live by their passions, and it's amazing. And there are some people who live in this world by compassion, and that's equally amazing. We all don't need to be passionate.
True.
Preeti, you want to add something today? You have been quiet, except for the javelin throw that you threw at us.
Actually, I was just thinking about Meghansh's thing about potential, higher potential and lower potential. So I was just thinking that why are we so caught up in this comparison and competition and higher and lower? And who are we to judge and say that this one is higher potential and this one is lower potential? If and it is like we with our eyes saying this, but you go and ask that lower potential, whom you are saying lower potential, but go and ask that person. Maybe that person would be the happiest person on this earth. Then how come that person becomes lower potential? So that is in our heads. We adults maybe are caught up in that kind of thing, but there's nothing like higher or lower. Everywhere, yeah, that's what we are learning actually in open learning. It is all about this only, how we see everybody's potential equally and nicely in a positive manner. I don't know. Yeah, and also what even Arvind was saying that we are applauding the person because he has one goal. No, it is not like that. Means in every field, not only in this field, in every field, means there are always ups and downs. Whether you are a corporate or whether you are an entrepreneur or you are a sports person or anything on this earth you are. So there are ups and downs everywhere. Means and there are people out there ready to applaud you or put you down or do everything based on what externally you're doing. But we need to really understand that in everybody's their own journey, how they are doing it and how much they are enjoying that journey, how much they are loving that journey. If any corporate person is enjoying that corporate work, that job that person is doing, then nothing like it. Yes. Whether that person is excelling or going down in his job or her job or whatever, doesn't matter. But if the person is enjoying, then that's good enough. And same goes with any other stream in any other profile. So I don't know if I'm making any sense, but
Yes, you are making
just free flowing. Free flowing.
I just had another thought, which is, related to what I said earlier, which is this word open learning. In a sense, it implies lifelong learning, doesn't it? In the sense that it's that learning is open to you at any point of time. That it's not something that you said, I've learned these things. And I think, particularly as adults, too, it can be quite scary to say, I want to learn something again in my life. You fall into little zones of comfort, saying, I'm good at this, let me stay with this. But actually open yourself up to learn again can be quite not always an easy thing. It can sound romantically nice, but it can be scary to actually say, I don't know this, or I want to try this out. What happens? It can really upset the entire setup you have built up to say, hey, I want to try something different.
Yeah.
But depends actually, Arvind. Honestly, learning at this age is also so much fun, and opening up to all the possibilities is so much fun. Like it's 1+ year that we have been into this open learning space, and before that we were into a conventional style of schooling and everything. There also things were very good and everything was happy and nice and great. But now since after experiencing this kind of lifestyle, and the way we as a family, as like we adults are also learning, my husband, myself, and even my in-laws are part of it, and my daughter is thoroughly enjoying. She's 8.5 and she's thoroughly enjoying this journey. And I don't know how you said that it could be scary to start learning again something. I don't know. But because for us, it is really beautiful to start learning again. And and I don't know, we are a kind of people wherein we have shifted our jobs from corporate banking life to going abroad and living there and coming back to India and then doing maybe nothing for some time, and then now sitting with children and doing something for children, because we want to spread something which we were doing with our daughter, and we wanted to spread that to other children. So we started doing that, leaving all our corporate life and everything and getting straight into that. So it's a mix of like what you really want to do and what is giving peace to you from within and happiness. I don't know.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, because it's very inspiring to listen to you. We ourselves were in long hours, tedious jobs till a year ago, till Arvind till a year ago, and me till a month ago. And I've also taken a time off from my work to just be with the kids and I think enable what we've thought of as unschooling, homeschooling for to try it out. And yeah, so I think scary means that your regular source of income is gone, and you know you don't know what it means to take a break, go back to work. I mean, in a sense, everything, like Arvind said, everything is changing. There's no certainty in that sense. But
that's where Ratnesh will say, that is most beautiful. When there is no certainty, then it is most beautiful.
Yeah, so it's like taking a leap of faith, right? It's like saying that, yes, I will be able to take care of things and life will take care of me in that sense. So, yeah. So thanks a lot, Preeti. I mean, if we can DM each other and stay in touch, it'll be good.
Oh, yes, yes. She's very infectious and very inspiring, always jumping into every little pond of learning that she sees. And so is Dwiji, and so is so many parents and so many children. I want to just bring in that perspective that I am blessed with so many wonderful children and parents who are part of the community, their energy is so infectious that even if I don't do anything the whole day, I feel I'm learning so many things. Right? It's just the opposite of the scary part. Even if I don't earn anything, even if I don't do anything, I suddenly feel, wow, I have no problem in life. I'm like there kind of thing. And that's the beautiful, very beautiful aspect. And another point that I want to add, which is not directly related, I'm just using this as an opportunity, is that somewhere the way system has structured learning, we are made to feel that this is the time to learn trigonometry and this is the time to learn grammar and this is the time to learn, which I think all of that is complete bakwas. It's a complete rubbish statement if anybody says this is the time to learn this. I think at any age, I can learn anything when I want to learn then that thing, when it is relevant to me, when it is meaningful to me. Yeah. There is absolutely no age to it, and which is what the community tells me. So many parents diving into so many different things, so many adults, so many children, all crisscrossing and doing so many different things. And it's amazing when they want to learn something, it just takes them very little time to learn. My own son has never been to school. He has never learned mathematics or language or English, though he's a voracious reader. He just doesn't go anywhere. And when we both went for a PADI certificate diverse course, and there is lots of science in it, and we were supposed to give even a test apart from studying the science and the maths behind it. I was thinking, he's never studied science, he's never studied maths, he's never studied language. I mean, how will he give this exam and test? But he came in flying colors because he was interested in diving. Right? It wasn't about something called as maths and science. He picked up the concepts at that time. He did not knew what buoyancy was. This was 2 years back. So at 14, now he's 16. He didn't know what is buoyancy concept, what is Archimedes principle, what is density, what is air pressure. He had not learned because he had never gone to school and he had never got interested in these topics. But the moment he got into diving, he learned all of that. And not just learned as in learned in theory, because there was no theory. He learned it in practical sense, how to quickly calculate, because when you are down there, you have to quickly calculate what is your depth, at what speed you should go up, how many breaks you need to take in between before you keep going up, and then you come out onto the surface of the ocean. So there is no time for you to refer to some manual to say, hello. So I'm saying it's so amazing how when we want to learn something at any age, right? We can just go ahead and learn that. I think interest-based learning or desire-based learning is, to me, far, far, far more energized and beautiful as compared to age-based learning or a milestone-based learning. Sorry, this wasn't a point, but I brought in because I saw that. I see Preeti and so many other people doing that exactly. They're saying to hell with the age. We are just going to have fun.
And to add to just, sorry if I'm taking too much of my other space, but just little thing which I want to add, which generally I have spoken at many places, that when I was small and young, and I had that passion to learn more into drawing, painting and stuff, and creative line stuff. Then I was so much bogged down with my own studies and everything, and so much my time used to get consumed there, that no time for even thinking about it, right? How will I even take out that 1 hour or half an hour or 2 hours to go and learn something and come back or something like that. So I never got time, and I always had this at the back of my mind ki karna to hai, something like that, but never got to do it. But now at this age, at 40, with Arohi, I'm doing everything, and I'm seriously learning all forms of drawing, painting, sketching. Sketching is something which I was always scared of. I can't sketch. I mean, sketching is something which is really difficult. But that also I've started learning, and I'm like super enjoying all of that. So that is there, means open learners are like this. When they want to learn, they just want to learn.
That's Meenakshi. She's just coming down.
Hi. Without your permission, we were talking about you.
Absolutely.
Actually, you can ask her why do you do IGCSE? Huh? Why do you do IGCSE? Why not cricket all day?
I don't mind playing cricket all day, actually.
High five. Right.
Say no more.
Right. We don't. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think I would like to, moderate that part a little bit, because I don't think open learning means, don't care attitude, right? It is that you do it as a family, you do it as a community, right? So if it's in terms of your exposures, or if it is in terms of what you would like to understand, how you would like to do things, open learning does not mean that I don't take somebody's help, or that others don't offer me suggestions or ideas to do things. So when we are trying to say something that hasn't come up in this discussion today, self-directed, that's a very important part which I felt was missing in this conversation. So I just wanted to see that when we talk of open learning, we are talking of self-directed learning. So it's not that you follow somebody else's direction. It's that you find what you want to do, how you want to do, where you want to do, when you want to do, all that, all that jazz. And at the end of the day, how you would like to assess yourself. So the way we practice open learning in the Arohi community is that it's not just about, finishing an assignment and submitting it to Ratnesh or Aditi or some other parent or a coach or a mentor, but rather looking at it in terms of, okay, How did I do? What did I want to do? And how did I do? And you identify how you want to go further. So, so the idea is not just about planning and execution, but also assessment and inference and conclusions. So, so the child decides or the individual decides what's a good time to stop something. So if I take Preeti's case, she decides that I have learned enough sketching for now. Now I'm going to take up the paintbrush and keep the pencil aside. Right. So it's about identifying ways in which we can understand ourselves and how we want to plan, take that further as a plan. So the tools of open learning are not just instinctive, but rather beyond that, it's also about practice, and it's also about picking up new ideas. And that's why we do this as a community.
I'll just say a quick bye now. I need to go pick up the boys. Thank you so much.
Sure. Yeah, pleasure having you, Arvind.
Look forward to taking this further.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Right. So, Meenakshi, you want to say something? You want to ask something? I don't know if you even have a context of who we are. Just assume there's some wildlife collected here who are as wild can be. Now you have to see if in this wildness you want to throw in yourself.
What will help is he has a daughter who's 22 and a son who's 16, both of whom haven't been to school. And his son plays football 7 days a week over there. Lucky.
Yeah, so,
I wish I had a zoom onto her face at that moment.
Yeah, so one of the personal, you can say personal agendas of mine is to, especially children who have found one thing that really interests them. And we have many such in our community. There is somebody playing football, somebody making movies, somebody making music, somebody doing Veena, somebody doing stock trading at 14 years, and so on. There's so many of them, right? And my part of my passionate job is, or rather I made it into my job, a totally, a job which nobody likes, is to somehow not get their parents to put them in school. Right? And to tell them that now better 10th kar lo, right? 12th kar lo, yeah, whatever, ye kar lo, yeah, wo kar lo. So that's part of my job, right? I've been very unsuccessful in that. Let me also admit to that. Right? Most, but my point is to just share with children, especially with Meenakshi, that just go out and enjoy what you do. In your case, it's cricket. Great. Just enjoy as much as you can. Okay, till whenever you can. Just don't worry about everything else, right? That's the way I look at life, right? When I want to do something, let's just do it full on. Let's enjoy it completely, right? And then we will see whatever else comes, right? The logical mind is too much into planning, thinking, future, and all that. But by the time that future arrives, okay, we have already lived on, and it's just gone. So
We are no more interested in that.
Yeah, or whatever. So my
when the
idea
future
is
comes
go
in,
on.
then we are, yeah.
Yeah. So if you ever have a discussion, sorry, Nitya, I've caught Meenakshi now. Right? If you ever
Most
have a
welcome
debate,
to influencing her in any way.
so if you ever
She's
have
a
a
sweet
debate,
person.
if you ever have a debate with your parents or uncles or aunts about why should I do this when I can just focus on, let's say, cricket, right? You have a lawyer here. You can call me up. I'll be by your side. Simply because it's not about you, Meenakshi. It's simply because so many dreams of doing whatever they wanted to do have been sidelined just because they were put on a highway. Yeah, so many dreams. I've seen that so many children, so many dreams were totally taken away simply because the parents think that no, the highway getting on to this school, college thingy is far more important than, or at least more important than the passion. Okay. So that's my just a very I hope Nitya didn't hear a single word. That was only for
I'm
Nitya.
totally fine with anything. We are not the only people bringing her up, right? She's got,
Awesome.
there's a community out there, and we're so glad to connect with it. And it's going to open our minds also to this. I mean, questioning why do you need to do 10 and 12? Yeah, I mean, you just assume you have to just anyway put it in your pocket because you've done it and everybody does it.
Yeah.
And I mean, the way we looked at it was, let's give this a shot. If she gets selected, then, maybe we can drop this whole college thing. And if she doesn't get selected, then what?
Then play cricket, still all alive.
Then, but how do you make it viable? That's really the thought process.
That's the wrong question you're asking, Meenakshi. Think for a moment, say that is not a question. What does that do to us and to her? If I say money is not the question, I can turn around and say, I can fend you for your life. Go ahead, play cricket all your life. I will earn for you till I'm alive.
But that's not also very true.
Well, I'm saying, no, I'm not saying you are saying that. I'm saying, I am ready to say, I've obviously said it to my children, and I'm ready to say to any other child, if you need my help, I'm there to earn for you if you have a passion and you want to really, really live into passion. Obviously, if your whole day sitting watching Netflix, I'm going to kick your butt. Right? That's not done, right? But if you have a passion and you're totally into it, I'm ready to earn for you. Right?
Yeah.
And I would even say that the world is ready to earn for you. You'll be surprised. Right? Here I am. We run Arohi, a community. We have a campus. And believe me, we don't earn anything. And where does all the money come to run the campus, to have the land? We never bought the land. We didn't have the money to buy the land, nor any of the buildings, nor any of the machinery, the computers, the telescope, the musical instruments, the whatever. How did all of that come? We had no money. How did the money come? Please tell me, how did the money come? No, right? And that's the beauty of it. The only thing we did not think about is money. And it came. The only thing we cared about was our passion. And the rest happened. That's the message I want to give to kids, not in theory. I'm living it. You come to campus, you can see the campus, and every single stone here is sponsored by somebody or the other. Why will they sponsor it? I have no idea why people go on sponsoring things and contributing things, that you have to ask Preeti who contributes, or Dwiji who contributes, and so many other people who contribute, hundreds of people. Why do they do that? I have no idea. All I know is that I don't care about money. I've never made an Excel sheet of that side that, okay, abhi aise karna hai, waise karna hai. We just go about doing what we feel doing, and it just comes.
That's definitely one approach. Yeah.
Yes, one of the thoughts. That's exactly what I've told my son. You want to play football? Go play football. Right? Don't think what profession I will do in life. Who cares? When you reach that stage, you will figure it out. You will be by that time so much capable of thinking for yourself, because you've been doing that every single day. And you will figure out what you want to do at that time. That time you want to do fashion designing, you want to do scuba diving, you want to do what you want to do, go ahead, and that time you can learn and do it. You can learn at any age. Who says you can learn? You have to go to NIIFT to learn fashion designing. Not at all. You can learn at any age and become anything at any point of time. And also earn out of it. I mean, Dwiji is one such example. He just goes about learning whatever he feels like learning, and he converts that into profession also. I don't know how. You ask him if you want to.
Yeah, she's asking, is he studying anything? He's not. No, he's not in school.
No, he's never been to school. He hasn't even been inside.
Okay. Yeah. He's never written an exam.
The only exam he wrote was the scuba diving exam. He has never written any other exam.
For which he had to figure out some physics and math and all. I have to forget.
She's saying, wow.
Now yes, she's like, okay, do I have to write these IGCSE exams that I've prepared so hard for?
In fact, I even say that he hasn't even gone inside a school premises ever. He's just been away from all the school business. Yeah, Dwiji, you wanted to share something.
Like she's having the same reaction here.
I've been observing her. You want to ask something, dear, or say something? That's okay. If later you want to ask, you can give us a call, connect with us. Absolutely. And yeah, you have been into campus, so you can come back to campus and we can chit chat a lot.
The other thing I want to share, just an interesting news, was that the boys have been saying that they wanted to act. They want to become actors. I don't know where they got that from. They've been watching some movies and they got interested in acting. They want to act. So then my husband's been discouraging them, saying that acting is not a very great industry. You know, the film industry is a scary place and all. And then they've been talking about it for a year now. They went and did some little commercial that my cousin was producing for one small thing, for some CSK video. They enjoyed it thoroughly. And then they got, their names got recommended to some casting company, who called me a week ago and said, we want to do an ad for Amazon, bring the boys over. So I went for the audition. Now one fellow's got selected. Now how do I tell? So the first response was to tell them no, because the other fellow will feel bad. They're twins, you see, and they've never done anything without the other. As it is, there's a lot of, though we try and see, we don't compare them. Between them, there's a lot of this, he has, I don't have, I don't have, this, they'll defend each other, they fight with each other, and they want exactly what the other has. There's all of those twin dynamics. So now I have to break the news to one fellow for the first time in their lives. One has not got chosen, one has got chosen. But also, it's like, you want to act, you say you want to be an actor when you grow up, and here you have an opportunity to go say 2 lines in front of a camera. Why pass it up? That's one experience and one.
Sure.
I said, okay, as a parent, I'm going to support this, and I'm going to help the other fellow work through his feelings of rejection and not being chosen and all of that, and not deny the other fellow the chance to go do something he thinks he wants to do when he grows up. So, and then we'll see where it goes.
Absolutely. This is so beautiful. And both are learning.
And I couldn't have done this last year because they were in school, and I couldn't have pulled them out of class to go for a shoot.
Yeah.
So I think that's the beauty of this year, and we really hope to reap the benefits of not being in any one formal place.
Yeah, tell them history doesn't have too many twins as actors in any film industry, big names. I'm trying to remember if there are any twins who are actors in whatever, Bollywood, Collywood, Tollywood, Hollywood.
Yeah, Fred and George and Harry Potter.
Fred and George and Harry Potter. That's what we say.
Sorry?
Harry Potter, Fred and George.
Yeah, no, there are. I'm not saying, I'm saying there are not many. There are only few. Absolutely. So one is that example.
So they want something like that, they can be mischievous, they can do all their antics together.
Yeah,
This is
in
also
any case,
an opportunity for them.
Yeah, in any case, they will evolve. Right now, they might be doing things, kind of together and fighting together over the same whatever thing, but they will evolve as individuals, and we don't know how they would evolve, where their interest will take them, and so on. And I'm sure you're going to have a wonderful time watching them evolve. Yeah, that would be super. Okay, so where we are, any more questions, or it's a good time, 6:28. So I think it's a good time to pause here. And Sandhya, I hope your hubby is around for the next meeting and we can chit chat with him also. Yeah, or as you said, you might just book for a week and come along, the whole family, and stay in the campus, and then we will do longer conversations, whichever, and hope to see Nithya, Arvind, Meenakshi, and the boys sometime in the campus. And we'll keep connecting. We are here every Saturday, so if you want to join in to chit chat more, if you have thoughts or questions, you can join in. And also to remind that all these sessions that we do, all these meetups, are all recorded and put on the website, so you can go through different stories of different children. I don't have a cricketer in our community, but we do have children your age who have now become much older, who have explored different fields, right? Not necessarily cricket, but yeah, other fields in which they were passionate about. So just in case, if you want to hear more stories of children who have not really gone any 10, 12 college, not just my daughter, many more children. Many of those stories are recorded and there in the webinars. We keep calling them as guests and getting them to talk about their journey and how they're enjoying their life and doing what they feel like doing. Yeah, that's the independence, right, Vijay? That's the independence to choose my life. I think that's true independence, when I can choose how I want to live, not just in future, not just when I turn 25, 30, but whenever I'm living, I'm independent to choose, make my own decisions and choose, right? Okay, in which case, thank you so much for a lovely evening discussion, and we'll stay connected.
Thank you all.